Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, guys, we have Webb Pickersgill here. Again, the co-game director for Life is Strange Before the Storm and the performance director for Life is Strange True Colors, which was just announced last week, and that'll be coming out on September 10th. So many questions, so many things. Webb, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm sorry. I'm just arranging on my screens, trying to figure.
No, you're totally fine.
Oh, I'm doing awesome. Oh man, I'm like so excited for this. Last night I could not fall asleep. I just kept on thinking about today. I was just so excited. I was up till 4 in the morning.
I know. I saw you.
I was like, what's going on? I don't know. So this is awesome. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Of course. Like I said, I'm honored that you wanted to come on here because I think that so many times the development side of these projects, the development world gets overlooked so many times. And so I'm just happy to have you on here because so many people had so many questions for you. Yeah, let's just start off with like a simple introduction. Who you are, what you doing, how did you get into the video game industry?
Oh, I mean, it's a crazy long story. I'll try to make the abbreviated version. Let me see. So, yeah, I went to college for music education. How's that? Like
Right?
that's right. Like I'm using that every day. Well, actually, I mean, I still play. Obviously, I got instruments and stuff, and I write my own music. But not making that a career. So I did music education. Then got out of school and went into computers. So I started programming. The company that I was working for learned that I could like do computer stuff, so they just let me do it, and I ended up I created a career in IT accidentally. And so yeah, I did like systems engineering. I put together servers. I would set up like multi-international email systems, connecting all of our offices. So all sorts of cool IT stuff. And I did that for about 10 years or so. And then I started feeling like Dilbert, like just stuck in a cubicle. Like I really would connect with those Dilbert comics, and I'd be like, oh my God, is that me? Have I become that guy that like sits in a cubicle and makes nerdy like engineering jokes? So I'd always been into film. Like Star Wars is like my go-to movie from, whenever when I was growing up. So I'm like, you know what? I think I want to make movies. So I was really stupid, and this is going to be a theme of the night, as you'll see. I'm doing stupid things, but I went out, I bought a bunch of video equipment, and I started a company, and I said, okay, I'm gonna produce videos now. And my wife and I had a really good idea at the time. We had just had our first child, and we were really into what's called baby wearing. I don't know if you ever heard of that. So you probably, nowadays you see it, you have like the thing that you put and your baby kind of sits
Oh,
here.
yeah, okay.
So so baby wearing, like that's the commercial side of it. But on the crunchy side, like if you're really into these kinds of things, they have like all sorts of different things that you could put on to carry your baby around. So we decided that we wanted to make an instructional video on like how to carry your baby around and all these different kinds of carriers. So that was like my first project, was like, okay, I'm going to make videos. I'm going to do this really cool DVD. It's going to teach the world how to like, carry their children around, which will, create a really secure attachment to their kids. It was a great thing. I love my kids. I carried them all around until they were like, all right, Dad, you can put me down now. Anyway, so I did video for like, on and off for about 10 or 12 years. I'm trying to remember the dates, but somewhere in there, I was like, okay, so I've got the video gig now. Okay, now it's time to do the film thing, which is like, not very profitable, especially living in Phoenix, Arizona. Not really a huge film town. I mean, there's a good indie scene, but it's not a really profitable scene. But I'm like, all right, let's get into this film thing. And I just I signed up for one of those like 48-hour film challenges.
Okay.
And we did one. Had a great group of friends. We're like, oh, let's make this thing. And we won. So I was like, okay, I think I might know what I'm doing. And then we went on the next couple of years. We just kept winning them. So we're like, okay, we know what we're doing. So from there, I just kind of got into freelance filmmaking. Everything I know, I just learned by doing. Again, this is another theme of the night, which is I don't know what I'm doing, and I make it up as I go. And I'm not scared of just jumping in and doing anything, because I'm just like, that looks fun. I'm going to go do that. And I trip, I fall. I suck at it, but like, love just doing stuff. So yeah, I became a freelance cinematographer, and that was basically my calling card for a long time. Basically a director of photography. I worked on features, and then I also edited features. I worked as a sound engineer, so like I would be on set, being like recording the audio with the little microphone. Mic, and then I did post production on several features. So I did audio post, some mixing audio. I don't know. I've just been like all over the place. As you can tell, I've already listed off probably like 10 different careers, and that's only half of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just kind of learned by doing. And about 2012, I was like, okay, what am I doing? I'm in Phoenix. Things were like okay, but they weren't like progressing or anything. It was just kind of standstill. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, how are you on cursing on your podcast? Are you good?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay. So,
have you watched my stream?
Yes, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, be you, be true. You got it.
So basically I was like, all right, I got to shit or get off the pot, right? So either I'm going to go to LA and I'm going to do this thing, or I'm just going to hang it up. So talked with my wife, and she's awesome. And she's like, yeah, let's go to LA. Let's see if we can do this. And I was like, really? Wait, are you really? And she's like, yeah, let's do it. So we packed up the kids, sold half of our stuff, moved out of our house, and moved to LA. Basically sight unseen, because getting an apartment in LA is like insane. Like you just have to like jump and hope that you get it. So it was really crazy. But yeah, moved to Burbank, lived in LA for about 2 years, and did lots of fun projects. DP'd a couple features, did some post-production, like some color correction and visual effects for a couple features. So that was a lot of fun. And after about 2 years in LA, I was like, okay, I was taking stock, because like LA's tough. Right? And we could probably have a whole conversation just about that. Yeah. Like LA is like, can be really brutal, and it also depends on your personality, right? Like some people eat up LA, like that's just, they eat that for breakfast, like, yeah, let's do this. But it wasn't my tea. It wasn't my cup of tea. So I was like, you know what, I tried the LA thing, it's okay. And I got the t-shirt. I did been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So I said, okay, I'm gonna hang it up. I was talking to Sharon, my wife, and I'm like, all right, I think I'm done. I'm okay with that too. I think I'm all done. She's like, okay, so if you're all done, do you want to live in LA, or do you want to live like anywhere in the world? And I'm like, awesome. All right, cool. So let's figure out where we want to live. Like this is like, we pulled out a map. We pulled out a map of the world at first, and we're like, okay, nobody's going to take an American, unless you have like engineering skills. So, okay. All right. So the world's off. So it's just America. Where in America could we go? That would be awesome. And we did a lot of research, but we found this little town called Louisville in Colorado. And it was like in Times, like some article somewhere about like the best place to live to raise a family. And we're like, is it Louisville? No, it's Louisville. It's in Colorado, and it's between Boulder and Denver. And we're like, this sounds like the perfect little place. So let's just move there. Like we literally, again, this is a theme of the day, which is being stupid and just doing things because, that's just the way I roll. We packed up all of our stuff. We rented an apartment like via Craigslist. It was a legit apartment. I know it sounds like, really. But we found it on Craigslist, then we called and got everything worked out, but we had never actually seen it. We just like, okay, we saw pictures. It looks like it'll work. Packed all of our stuff up, drove from LA to Colorado, and we got here. Now, see, this is where kind of the fun part starts. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm hanging up my DP hat. I sold all my gear. I had like tons of camera equipment and lights. And the last feature I shot was called 1111. And it was a lot of fun. We shot it up in Arizona, and I sold all my gear. And the next day we got in the truck and we left. So it was like, we wrapped the feature, and I'm like, okay, peace out. Good. So I had no gear, and I was like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm like, let me go back to IT. So I started, putting resumes out and everything. No, it was like, wait, your experience in IT is 10 years old. Yeah, we can't take you. That's too old. I'm like, wait, are you kidding me? Like, it was a little crazy, right? Like, how can you can't take time off in IT. It's like dog years or something, right? It's accelerated in some way. Um, so that was really rough, and it was down for like 3 months. I was like, oh, what did I do? I just moved to the middle of nowhere, and I don't have any job. And what am I doing? And I hopped on Indeed. I was doing searches every day, but I searched for like the word cinema every now and then. I'm like, is there anything out here for film? I know how to do that. And I did a search, and it's like, seeking a lead cinematic artist for a video game company. And I was like, wait, what's that? And I looked and I read it, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's what I do. Hold on a second. And then I looked it up, and it's like Idle Minds, which is the name of the company back in the day. And I'm like, Idle Minds. And I looked them up, and they are freaking across the street from our apartment, Katy. Like,
what?
I walked to my interview. I walked.
Yo.
It was like, yeah, it's not even a quarter of a mile. So I was like, okay, this is either a sign or this is just the universe's really bad sense of humor. But anyway, so interviewed with Jeff and Andy. There were two Andys at the time. And and apparently Jeff talks about he talks about my interview. When he tells stories. It's my boss, Jeff. He's like the VP of the company. He's a really good storyteller, right? He's out at dinner telling us, I got to tell you about this time. Oh, when Webb interviewed, oh my gosh, he came in, he had so much energy, and he was so excited. And anyway, so apparently I was memorable. I don't know. I don't remember anything. It was kind of a daze, but but they gave me an offer, and I started as a lead cinematic artist on. It was an unannounced title. We were working on it for about a year, and then it got canceled.
Woo! Video game industry.
Okay, I know, right? Like it happens all the time. So, and from those ashes, we put together a demo of the stuff that we were working on at the time, and we got it and we shopped it around, and we put together a really nice scene. It was like this sci-fi thing we put together. I wonder if I still have it somewhere. That would be really cool to maybe pull out of the coffers. I'd have to ask Jeff if we could show it. But anyway, so we got that and we shopped it around, and it just happened to be that Square Enix was looking for a narrative developer to work on something. We didn't know at the time. So they reached out to people who were known to make narrative stuff, and we had been in this narrative space for a year and a half or so. They came to us and we showed them the demo. They were pretty impressed with us, and they said, okay, we'd like to make a Life is Strange game. And I was like, of course, poker face in the conference call. I'm like, that's nice. But, inside I'm like, oh God, really? So it was crazy because, here's a little backstory. So when I first started at Idle Minds, which is now Deck 9, same company. So if I say either or, at the time, I was like, okay, I've never really played cinematic video games, or I've never really concentrated on it, right? So let me go get a bunch of games and play them and see how they are. So I bought, a couple games, like the Walking Dead series, which was a classic at the time. Telltale was making really good stuff. And then, like, while I was ramping up in this job, Life is Strange dropped. And I was like, oh, what's this? This is a narrative game. Cool. Buy. And from scene one, I was in. It was like open, cold open, rain, Max's face, lightning. And I was like, wait, what is going on right now? What is this? And wait, I've got to walk up. What's going on? Like, I was just sucked in from the beginning. So I was like, I don't want to say this, but I was a fan before it was cool. Like, I was totally on board. So when they came to us and was like, hey, do you want to make a sequel? I was like, yes. Anyway, so it was like, it was super awesome. So anyway, that, I think that kind of takes us up to where we are, which is, we basically auditioned for them. They put us through a lot of challenges to make sure that we were up to the abilities to do this game. And, but we did it, and we said, okay, yeah, you guys can make the game. So that's when production started. And that's kind of, so that, oh God.
You're good.
So okay. But that kind of up to where we are, right? Yeah. Like, okay, we were making Life is Strange before the storm. And Yeah. Okay. I'll shut up. Wow.
No, you're good. I'm sure literally everybody in chat is just eating this up because this is stuff that they don't know. You know, they never get this like really cool backstory of like what's it like to audition. You know, like, for like the dev side for a distributor company and what's it like to get into that, right? And so I think this is they're loving it. They're saying this is great. They're absolutely loving it. And there's lots of not questions, but lots of comments saying, "Oh my gosh, your setup looks so good. Oh my gosh, you sound so good. You sound like you could be a host or something for the radio," which is great because I know you're like segue. I'm pretty good at this. Okay, pretty good at segues. So guys, really great, exciting thing. Webb, tell them what you have planned for the future weeks.
So I got in touch with Katy because I decided that I think I want to start streaming. And so this is the exclusive to the Cater Talk crew here that you guys hear it first that I'm going to start screaming probably that too.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm going to start streaming on the 31st, which I believe is next Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have my first stream, and I'm going to start out by playing Before the Storm. So it'll be a director's commentary playthrough Before the Storm. We'll start with episode 1 and we'll go through, and I'll tell you some little behind the scenes moments as we go, and I'm going to dig up some photos out of the archive of motion capture stuff that we did. And I'll share some stories. It'll be fun. And we'll start there. But then from there, I'm going to go on. I'm going to play Liz 2. We'll play all the Life is Strange games. And then I'm going to get into other narrative games. Like I want to play some of them I played before, but like once, like Becoming Human, Detroit Becoming Human. I want to play all the narrative games because I love narrative games, and I want to share like some of the behind the scenes. Not that I know anything about Detroit Becoming Human, but I can talk about, like, I can appreciate what they had to do to make a game like that. And I'm just, my mind blows, and you may not realize it. You're just like, oh, okay, that's a game. Oh, I'll make a choice, whatever. I would like, do you have any idea how much time went into that shot right there? Like I can hopefully kind of peel back the onion a little bit on how we make this these games. So anyway, I'm going to be streaming. So hopefully.
Yes, I think you're guys, if you want to go ahead and follow or check out the channel, there is a link in the chat. If you do !guest, which the mods are popping out there, go follow him so you're ready for the big stream on Wednesday. And I'm excited. I'm gonna be there lurking. I'm gonna be like, okay, let's do this. I'm excited for the commentary. There's a lot of people that like director cut commentaries on films. This is awesome.
Yeah, that is hopefully what I'm banking on. I know there's a lot of people that just like to watch the games for game's sake, but
no, there's tons of people. Yeah, I'm seeing in chat, Joe, he's like, oh my gosh, this is a dream. Because a lot of the times, these people, like these fans of these games, some of them are actually aspiring game devs, and we have some questions about that here in a little bit. But yeah, they love this, you know, they're excited to hear this. They're excited to get insider information. But yeah, so that kind of brings me into the community question side of it. So if you're ready to dive in.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Little prompts for myself, because I've been following all the questions. To look up my prompt, but okay. What do we got?
So Carolyn, this is going to be kind of Life is Strange focused questions. So Carolyn asks, and always obviously feel free to dive as deep as you can. Was it hard having to create an original story that had to be in the confines of a prequel, especially when the first games established a lot of its main canons that couldn't be changed too much? So to kind of go off of it, you were creating a game with kind of a new story, but it had to go off of the original game. So how was that for you guys?
It's so the core creative team that we had for Before the Storm was the two co-directors, which was myself and Chris Floyd. And I'll talk in a second maybe about what our responsibilities were, and then Zach Garris, who was the narrative director. I forget what his actual title was at the time, but basically he wrote the stuff, and then Chris and I made the stuff. So I made the cinematic side, and Chris made the gameplay side. So between the three of us, we were like the core creative team for the game. So you're right, it is challenging because you do have to put together all the things that you do know that are true about the universe. So we were on Wikipedia. I know there was like a Wikipedia where they had all the details that they've extracted from the game, all the fans had extracted. So we were on that all the time. I was watching playthroughs on YouTube all the time, just like, wait, what happened there? Hold on a second. There's some detail, like in some obscure pop-up poster of some date that we had to know when one person was born or not. And we're like, oh, they were born then. No, we can't do that. So there was a lot of research, but what's really interesting is that those restrictions are actually freeing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're creative and there's like, you can do anything, sometimes it's like analysis paralysis. You just got like, wait, I can do anything. I can do that. What if it's in space? What if it's like, your head explodes? But if it's like, no, okay, hold on. It has to be here. Okay. It actually narrows your choices, and it makes you focus on the ones that are important. So having that restriction actually, I think, helped us focus the story, because here are the characters you have to deal with. Here's the situations that they've been through. Here are the locations that are already been established. Now come up with something that's compelling. So I think that was very helpful for us.
Cool. Awesome. So going kind of off of that, this is from Joe. So BTS was a huge success with the fans, but was initially met with apprehension because of its announcement of new actors, developers, taking on a different part there. So how was the studio's reaction to that? And then they go on to say BTS was stunning and we're all so excited for True Colors. So yeah, what was the reaction to that, to seeing this pushback,
So yeah. When you write something like this, where you're coming off a huge fan base, there's a huge pressure, right? And we knew it, we felt it, but we did everything we could to honor the original developers and honor the characters, honor those original performances, and just take them all to heart and kind of hold onto them like a warm blanket, right? It's okay. This is the universe. We've embraced it. Let's honor all this stuff and create something that we think. Because I'm a fan, so I want to make something that I would want to play and I would want to engage with. So we just took our best swing, and then you just have to take a step back, let the world have it, and just say, they're gonna like it. And there was, of course, a range of feedback from some people not liking it or being angry that we replaced the voice of Chloe for this for a variety of reasons. But it's. People really actually embraced it once they started hearing Rihanna's voice. They were like, "Wait a minute, I kind of like her. I kind of dig her." And okay, cool, yes. And then there were just a few like game moments in there where fans were just like, "Yeah, okay, that was well done." Okay, so it took a little while to earn that trust. It had to kind of be out in the wild for a little while, but we all kind of sat back with our fingers crossed. And I'm very thankful for the fan reaction that has been out there. I love the game, obviously, but a lot of effort into it.
So okay, so from another question from Jack, when planning out the story of Before the Storm, were there any other ideas of what the premise would be, or was it always going to be a Chloe Rachel adventure?
Yeah. So we did do a lot of exploration behind the scenes. When Square came to us, they said, okay, we want to make a Life is Strange game. And we pursued all sorts of options. But when we really looked at what people loved and what people wanted, it was really obvious what people wanted. So really the hardest decision was, okay, we play as Chloe. We shouldn't have a power. It would be really weird if Chloe just had a power after all this time. So we decided to basically double down on the idea that there is no power. We're going to make it all about relationships. We're going to make it all about that the interactions and how she has to deal with her life, and just make that as compelling and interesting as possible. So
I think that's awesome. I think that's cool. I mean, yeah, I think you guys are getting such a treat right now. Seriously, you guys that are here are getting an incredible treat, because this is stuff that I've never heard before. So this is really cool.
I know, like Zach and I'm not sure Chris, but Chris and Zach have done a bunch of interviews way back when we released the game, of course, to all the news outlets. But I've been surprisingly quiet for the last, oh God, how many years has it been? When did they release this game?
Yeah, seriously.
Many years. Like I haven't actually done an interview. This is like the first time I've actually talked openly about this at all.
Yes,
So
I feel
I'm
special.
really excited. You don't know how special you are. You don't know how excited I am to come on your show. Like,
What? Webb, I wouldn't literally be here if it wasn't for you and Deck 9.
Okay, all right, here's tangent. All right, so here's a story of how Katy was hired for her role as Steph. So we put out, obviously, an audition for a variety of voices. And we got back a bunch of, okay, here's this character and here's a bunch of voices. We didn't see any faces. We just listened to the voices, and we weighed them and whatnot. I think it was Victoria. It was like some other character that
It was Samantha.
Okay.
Yeah. Left field.
I don't remember, but it was like, yeah, and I'm listening, and I've listened to all the Stephs, and I'm like, yes, they're okay. And then I just happened to be listening to this, and I'm like, whoa, hold on a second, who is that? I'm like, hold on. And I'm like, yeah, that's Steph. That's Steph. And I pushed it over, and everybody was like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, no, trust me, this is Steph. So I was so excited to hear your voice and find you in the accidental wrong pile, so to say.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm weird that way. When I audition or when I'm going through a casting process. Okay, so you can probably totally relate to this. In LA, you walk in, you say a couple lines, thank you, next. You walk, no, thank you, next, we'll call you. And it's just like, turn them and burn them. And I get it. Industry, it's fast out there. There's a billion people, and
it's cutthroat.
It is cutthroat.
Yeah.
It's got to. I get that. And as part of coming out of LA, that was one of the things that I just didn't like. It just didn't vibe with my personality. Like, I don't like to treat people that way. Like, even if I am busy, I don't want to do that. That's not cool. So I said, okay, when I got to Deck 9, and I'm like, all right, Jeff, I want to cast this. I'm going to cast it my way. And I kind of explained how, and he was like, yeah, cool. Yeah, do whatever you need to do. So I, other than the VO, because the VO casting process was separate, we actually cast for the mocap actors. I'd like to take my time. Like we do an hour casting for each person, which is like crazy. Usually you walk in 5 minutes, you're out. Like we do a full hour. Like I'll sit down. I want to talk, get to know you a little bit. And then, okay, let's warm up. We do some warm up exercises like Meisner or something. Then we'll do a scene, and we'll work on it for like a half an hour. Maybe you do some monologues, and then we talk, we debrief. How do you feel? Like there's a process there.
Yeah, and I got to witness that actually, hands on. I got to witness you. Yeah.
Yeah, on the project that shall not be named right now.
Yes, that shall not be named. But yeah, I know it was incredible. It was an incredible.
So yeah, like. I love that process of getting to know the person more than just, okay, can they perform, which you have to understand, but like, how are they to work with? How do they take direction? How do they, so I don't know. I just wanted to do that. And I've been happy that we've been able to do that process going forward. And in our town here in Colorado, we're kind of known for doing that. Hopefully it's a good thing, where, we just take our time to do it and do it right. And honor everybody that comes in to give their time. So, all right, I don't know where we were.
No, you're good. Tangents are great. We love tangents. They're awesome. No, that's awesome. But come on, yeah, I just love hearing that stuff too. So this is actually a question going back to BTS from Steph. Who is your favorite character in Before the Storm?
And why is it Steph?
I left that part out, but I mean, if you want to answer it like that, by all means, it's fine.
All right. Hold on a second. I'm trying to keep up on my notes here.
You're good. Thank you guys so much again for being here. Again, you guys can do !1, !guest, and that'll give you more information about Webb and where to find Webb and what we got going on today, guys.
So, yeah, and thank you everybody for being here. This is I'm really honored that you guys all came to listen to me blab about a bunch of stuff. Hopefully you find it valuable or interesting or fun or something. So yeah, thank you for being here. All right, so to answer the question about favorite character, this is a really tough one, right? And I don't, and why is it Steph? I just love.
If it truly what it is for you. What is your favorite character? Yeah.
So. Yeah, I'm going to really wuss out here and say all of, or not all of them, but I'm going to say any of the non-main characters, because it's easy to say, oh, I love Chloe, oh, I love Max, oh, I love, in anyone in the Life is Strange fandom, but like I love obscurity. I love the ones that are like the small background roles that just like, oh, that was cool. Who is that person? And Steph does fall into that category. Like she was this small side character that just came to life, and we were like, whoa, Steph, like she's going to be the coolest character. We kind of smelled that coming after we wrote it and after we got to see like, the first D&D scene, and we were like, okay, this is going to be something. This is something special. But like, I love that. I love that like Mikey and Steph, they're an obscure, not as obscure, but like they're a smaller side character, but I love them because that's the sprinkles and chocolate sauce on the story, right? Yeah, you got your core story, you got your ice cream, okay, that's fine, the bananas or whatever, but like all the other stuff is like all these other great characters that have complex lives.
I love that. No, that's a great answer. I love it. That's a good answer. Okay, so going off of favorites still, Sophie asks, do you have a favorite scene in Before the Storm and why?
I thought about this one, and again, this is hard to answer these kinds of things. So I'm going to say, this is really weird, is the truck puzzle in, what, was that episode 3? Where you have to fix the truck?
Yeah, I think that was episode, I think 2 or 3, one of those.
It's a blur. It's literally a blur.
Well, it was a long time ago. Years.
But here's the reason why. It's because we screwed that up so bad that was our biggest learning moment, and I really appreciate those learning moments. So at the time in motion capture, we didn't have a really good way of lining up physical objects in the world with our digital assets. So we would literally get a tape measure and say, okay, if this object is here, I need to go 6 inches over, and that's where this object is. And then I'm going to go 2 inches up this way, and this is where this object is. We didn't have any visualization of what we were doing. So we had to just like, guess. So we set up this truck puzzle. We set up a whole bunch of apple boxes and piping and various things to represent the truck. And we did our best, but we captured it. We did the best we could. I'm like, all right, Rihanna, make sure that you only touch here and you reach in here, you do this. But we did not capture it as well as it could have been. And this is my public apology to every animator that worked on, and this is like a sincere apology, because we made their lives hell. They had to fix so much of that performance just to get it to look normal, because it was like the hands were in the wrong place, the racing the engine, it was a mess. So it's my favorite scene, because we come back to it all the time as our like, all right, let's not do the truck puzzle again. And even Corwin, who's our assistant director, he calls it the truzzle, just because it's its own word now. It becomes its own living, breathing thing. So it's like, not the truzzle. So that's my favorite for that reason.
Good, I like that one. Okay, so going off of Chris Photo's question, kind of goes off with that, like any part of the game you wish you could change, kind of goes along with that. Is there anything else that you wish you could change about the game or do better in a sense?
Well, that's the challenge with any of these games, is you have a set budget and a set schedule, and here's the amount of time you have to do the thing. Okay, do the thing as best you can within that time. And so it's not that I would change anything, but I would just wish we had more time, right? Just to keep working on it and keep making it better, polishing as much as we could. But with any artist and any creatives on the call right now can probably appreciate, but nothing's ever done when you're creative. You're like, okay, I could still tweak that. Eventually somebody has to say, no, you're done. Like we're gonna put this out in the world now. You are done. Go sit down. Yeah, you're done. Yeah. So I'm glad for that reason that there is a schedule and there is a deadline, because it forces us creatives to say, okay, I'm okay with that. I need to concentrate now on this. This needs more love. So.
Okay. So another question from Jack, bouncing back to Steph a little bit here. So how did Christopher Means, how did Chris have to pitch the D&D scene to you all? What did you think of the fan response to the scene after episode 1?
So I wasn't involved in that pitch as much. So sorry, I don't have much insider info there. But I do remember hearing that he had written a scene, and I read through it and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. But after I got out of the VO booth, after, working with you on all the storytelling stuff as Steph, and then working with Rihanna on all of her reactions to that scene, I was like, oh my gosh, we are sitting on gold here. This is good. I was cracking up in the VO booth, just like, oh my God, this is going to be so good. Just because I know what those reactions are going to be like when Rihanna, or when Chloe is like going nuts and saying all these crazy things in D&D, that even Steph and Mikey are like, oh my God, like, yeah, what is this? Like, this is a whole nother level of, anyway, it's just so entertaining. Love it.
So to kind of round off the Life is Strange BTS part of this interview, I know that you've watched some streamers across Twitch play the game. So how has that experience been for you, being able to kind of lurk in the shadows and maybe make yourself known to the streamers and seeing the reactions and all of that?
So funny enough, I didn't actually watch streamers play the game after it was released. I didn't. I don't know why. I guess I was busy working on True Colors, so we just got right into it.
Yeah.
And obviously I watched a lot of fan reactions, and I was super excited to see the reaction, but I never actually watched playthroughs. But then we were right on the cusp of announcing True Colors, and I was like, I wonder if there's anybody still playing our game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so and I hop on Twitch and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, there's people playing this. I'm like, I'm gonna drop in on this person and see. All right, so I'm gonna do a little shout out here to a small group of people, because I totally trolled them in their channel, and then said, oh, by the way, I'm the co-game director, and they were like, anyway, so it was not mean, but at the same, I didn't mean anything bad by it. I was smiling, and hopefully you were enjoying it. Let me see. So we had Xannerly.
Xannerly, yeah.
Super chill dude.
We love Xannerly here.
I wasn't sure who knows who, but like I dropped in on his stream, and I was watching and stuff, and then I was like, oh yeah, by the way, I made this game, and he was like, wait, dude, are you serious? Like, oh, and he like sat back, and it's like his back, and he was like, his head was exploding. It was so I don't know, it warmed my heart. So thank you for letting me crash your channel, dude. I still poke in from time to time and watch him play, even though it's other games, just because he's a super cool guy. So yeah. Salty Jenna, I don't know if you know Salty Jenna, but she's definitely salty. It's fun. She's got a personality, but yeah, she's playing Life is Strange. I went in and rated her channel too, so thank you for putting up with me. And then we see we got Live in Pink. She's actually a game dev. I think so. It was kind of fun to watch that. She didn't talk about games dev stuff, but it was nice to know that, okay, she gets it. She's kind of in that same headspace as me, so that was a lot of fun to just kind of watch her play. And she was a lot of like money raising stuff, which I thought was really cool, raising money for stuff. And finally, Lady Bird Uke. I don't know. She doesn't have a lot of followers, and I don't know why, because she plays the ukulele and she sings, and she's really good. She's really good. So, and I was also drawn to her because I'm like, okay, who's playing? And I'm like, wait, she's got like short hair and it's blue, and she's wearing like, she was totally like cosplaying that day. So I'm like, I got to check this out. So, she was awesome. So anyway, those are the people I rated, and thank you for letting me raid your channel. And sorry.
That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, we love Xannerly. That's amazing. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, though he's streaming as we speak. Yeah, Xannerly is awesome. He's great. Okay, cool. So jumping into like the kind of game dev / directing part of the interview. So we kind of dived into this a little bit, but I love Corin, and I just want to be like, hey, Corin, here's your question. There was one question he asked, and I didn't put this in here, but he wanted to know who's your favorite prop, but I didn't. I was going to ignore that one, but this one was a real one he put somewhere else, and so thank you, Corin. So we kind of know how you transitioned into from film to game, but like how do you know other people? Like, how is that transition from film to game? Is it as kind of like random as it was for you as well?
I honestly don't know because I only know my story.
Yeah.
I know we reached out to, we've hired some people recently that have, but they're already in games doing cinematic work. So I don't know how they got to where they were before we found them. So honestly, I don't know.
Yeah.
So sorry, I can't answer that, but I do want to answer his other question.
Okay.
You understand where that's coming from at all?
No. Like, are you talking about in the mocap room?
Yeah. So
Okay.
this is an old joke. And so back in before the storm days, we were super skeleton crew. It was myself, Corwin, who was my assistant director, and Caitlin, who was our body capture. We didn't capture face back in those days. So it was just the three of us and the actor. And every now and then it was like, oh, Chloe needs to put her feet up on the dashboard or something, right? And it's like, hey, Corwin, I need someone to set up the dashboard. So he would like go and like hold an Apple box and literally like be the dashboard. He's like a human prop. So his name is Someone. It's Corwin Someone Canton, because I would always say, hey, I need someone to do this, which basically means, hey, Corwin, I need you to do that.
So he's your favorite prop.
He's my favorite prop. Yes.
He's your favorite prop. Okay. So you mentioned that you worked on you worked on some other games. I don't know if you can mention anything else about that. But this Deck 9/Idle Minds was your first game company that you actually worked for, correct?
Yes, full time. So I did work on one other video game. I was thinking back through this question, and I worked on a game. It was called, on a second, see if I can find it. Yeah, it was called Elements Club Unity Match. It was like a match game, and had the little crystals and they match and they disappear and then the thing collapses down.
Okay.
It's one of those kind of mobile free to play games. And when you reach certain levels, you get cutscenes, and it's the whole universe is based around these characters that are from it's like 1800s England or something. So it was like a period, the whole universe was like this period thing. And I got to shoot these cutscenes, and it was like beautiful. It was like some of the best cinematography I've ever done because it was all period piece based stuff, and it was all in a video game. And I was like, oh, awesome. But anyway, I don't think the game actually went anywhere, or they may have I shut it down already. But yes, great, really awesome actors in that thing. So technically, that was my first game.
Got it.
It was just cutscenes as part of a game. Now, this is my real first actual embedded, creating a game that interacts with the gameplay. So.
And it has blown up, which is incredible. That's incredible. This is from Ocean Breeze. What advice would you give to someone considering a job in the video game industry, in the video game industry from a dev's perspective?
All right, I can only speak from my perspective, which cinematics and whatnot, and just the experience I've had when I have to interview for either mocap techs or that kind of thing. But, is just do. So if you want to, let's say if you want to be a character designer, just do character design. Like create a trillion characters and get them out there, create a portfolio, just keep improving your craft. Don't wait for a job to then, okay, I get to do my craft now. Like when somebody shows up to a job interview and I'm like, oh, cool, tell me about yourself. And they talk about how for the last 5 years, they've been working in their basement doing mocap using, a camera on their computer and face recognition. And they hocked it together and they made this thing. And I'm like, okay, I like you. Because you're showing me that motivation and that you just want to do it regardless of whether you get paid for it or not. Like that really impresses me. I can't speak for anybody else in the studio, but that's the kind of thing that I look for, that ambition. Yeah.
From Nice Field, what would you say is the best part of your job?
Generally speaking, it's creating anything. I just like to create, whether this is going to be nerdy, but whether I'm creating an Excel spreadsheet to track the mocap budget, as nerdy as that is, I'm like, ooh, I get to create a spreadsheet. Oh, I'm going to create calculations so I can figure that out. To today, I literally built a door for the mocap room. Our door is all wonky and wasn't opening up, right? So I'm like, we need to build a new door. Got out the power tools and put together a freaking door. Creating. I don't care what it is. I just like to create stuff. But more meta is I love working with actors. It's a creation process in and of its own. Just getting in a mocap space or on a film and just working with the actor, figuring out together what the scene is.
Mm-hmm.
And actor comes with something, I watch it, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that. Okay, well, what if we did this, or what if we did that? There's like a co-creation process there that I just absolutely love.
Yeah, and just from personal experience, guys, like it's awesome working with Webb. From an actor standpoint, I thoroughly enjoyed working with Webb. So yeah, it was a good time.
Except for the times where I yelled at you, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. He was so mean, guys. He was horrible. So mean. This is from Annihilator. What is the process like being a performance director? And how do you work to get the best performances out of your actors, specifically in emotional scenes? Good little segue. I like that.
This is a really awesome question. Obviously, this is like, how do you condense your job down into like a 2-minute answer? But what I usually do is I read a scene multiple times. I try to get an idea of where the scene's going, what the motivations of each of the actors are. I take that with me to set. Obviously, the actors do their thing too, right? You guys go home, you read it, you're like, oh, okay, I think I see where this is going. On set, I usually, on take one, I'll just say, okay, let's just see what we got. And we do a take one. I have been super surprised sometimes. I'm like, whoa, I did not see that coming. And that's what I want. I have a plan, but I'm totally fine with letting that plan get obliterated if what you guys come up with is way better. And a lot of times it is, which is great. But then sometimes I'm like, no, that's not hitting what we need. I need to go this direction. And I like to, I'm going to give the watermelon analogy. This is a weird one, so stick with me for a second. So when you give direction to an actor, you could say, okay, well, right now, like she's really sad because, this happened in her life. So she's going to be kind of sad. Like you could get intellectual about it and describe all the details about what's going on and how they should feel and let the actor figure that out. Typically that's, I say frowned upon, but it's not really good direction. My ideal way of directing would be if I could walk up to an actor after a take and just look them in the eyes and say, watermelon. And they go, okay, got it. And then the next take is brilliant. It's exactly what I wanted. That would be my ideal form of direction, where I know the actor so well that I can just say one word that would just get them to understand everything that I wanted. And it would just be that simple. Obviously, that's the pipe dream. It never happens. So you settle for 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, but not the 10-minute explanation. Ideally, keeping it simple for you, right? Like I want to just give you a nugget of an idea. It's inception. Let me just plant this idea and let you run with it. Because if you over explain it, then you can see the actor like thinking about, oh, wait, he told me to turn left here. And wait, this is, and then it becomes mechanical, right? So simplicity. You want to tell the actor simple things so that they can own what's going on and turn it into something awesome.
I like that. This is from Jake Disney Fan. Is there anything particular that has stuck with you, advice, something you've learned, etc., over time when it comes to contributing to a game and or working with your fellow developers to make a game possible?
Yeah, this one's really interesting. In the independent film world, it's the director is the director. It's like, nope, I want that. Nope, I want that. And not to say they're dictators, but they're like, okay, no, this is what I want. And it just, you make it happen. Sometimes producers are like, well, we can't afford that. And you're like, okay, well, then I want that. So you're very decisive about what you want. And usually you just say it. In game development, maybe this is just my experience, but it's way more collaborative, way more. So I had an adjustment, a personal adjustment of like coming in thinking, okay, film director, I know what I'm doing. Here's the things that I want, and realizing it just doesn't work that way. Like you have to, it's a push and pull. It's conversations. It's, hey, how do you feel about this? Oh, what about, it's like kneading bread. It's not just like, here's the bread, cook it. It's like, okay, well, let's knead it together. Let's work it. Let's figure out what's going to work best with every department. So for me, the biggest thing I learned was the process of working with other people a lot more deeply than I had in the past. Where I'd worked with people in the past, but it was more topical, like tell them what to do, versus here I'm like, ooh, working with them, working out ideas. Like it's way more fulfilling, too.
Yeah.
So.
And just again from a personal experience, it's like that's what makes me just so like ready to be like, dude, Deck 9 has their stuff together, because many of times, I'm sitting there and I'm one of the actors that I'm always, I'm alert. I'm watching, whether it's, has to do with the acting or whether it has to do with behind the scenes stuff, dev stuff, because I'm always interested, very interested. And so being able to sit and watch you guys all, collaborate together and like be like, okay, well, here's my idea. Okay, well, here's my idea. Like, which one do you think works best? It's like, it was so calm, like just like easy, and like, any one person was ready to be like, okay, cool, let's try that. It was just so calm and just like refreshing to just be in that, atmosphere as an actor. Like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. So yeah.
That's the Zach mojo. Zach is just like, so, you all heard him on the True Colors announcement video. Like, his voice will just melt you. He's just like, hey, how's it going? It's like really like warm, and you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But he has that calming effect on everybody. And it's a cultural thing. It's great, and it kind of breaks us all down. It makes us cool. We think about it calmly, and we do.
It's just awesome. If
it was just me, it'd probably be like,
all right, so this is from Clay Freeman. And again, I'm not sure what you can and cannot say, so whatever you're able to say. What new technology in your field excites or inspires you the most?
Nice. Yeah, the idea of virtual production is like really kicking right now with the Mandalorian that just came out. Where they do like the LED panels as the backdrop, and and instead of doing green screen and then doing everything in post, no, just shoot it like there, you're done. That's like amazing. So I always have big R&D dreams. Of course, they never come true. But I always have them. They're wonderful dreams. So like, I imagine like if we could like put projectors in the ceiling, and then we could have Unreal like project what's going on onto all the walls, and then the actors can actually literally look around the room and see what the scene is. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, even though I know we're not capturing it, but it helps put you in that space. Like, look, see Blackwell University over there, or look, I can see the train coming. It would actually help immerse you more. So that excites me. VR is another version of that, but I don't know how you'd like wear the goggles and also at the same time. That would just be impactful.
Yeah, AR is awesome. I had the opportunity to shoot videography, to do a highlight reel for an AR convention out here in LA back in 2016, and I got to put on the Google glasses. Obviously, with the last, what was that, like 5 years ago, it's even, technology's gotten even better, but back then it was nuts, because what you're saying was what I was seeing. I was like, that's so cool, like there's pictures on the wall, like it was awesome. So like that's really cool. That
awesome. So yeah, hopefully that can be something in the future for us.
Let's see. So again from Clay, let's go to this one again. Where do you find the most opportunities to creatively influence the games that you work on? And this kind of goes into the personal one as well, like, and you've talked a little bit about creativity and like what inspires you to be creative. So yeah, let's have you dive a little bit into that.
Yeah, for Before the Storm, it was a little bit more Wild West, right? Again, it was just Chris, Zach, and I'd get script pages sometimes day of the shoot, sometimes a few days before, but sometimes it was like really hot off the press stuff. So I'm getting it, we're doing it in the mocap room, and we're just have to make creative decisions really quick. I'd be like, hey Zach, I want to do this, or do we want to do that? Oh, cool, let's do this. So there were a lot of quick decisions. So there was a lot more flexibility in what we could do. Going forward, though, we've matured a lot, and we figured out the process a little bit better. So that creativity is found typically when the rubber hits the road, when you're working with the actor and you see what they're coming with, and we talked about this already, but like what I've come with, and like, oh, okay, what if we try this? Or what if we try that? And finding those little beats, sometimes they're really small beats that are almost imperceptible, but I'm like, ooh, that reaction, that was so small, but that is my shot right there, that reaction shot. One example in Before the Storm, that was in Farewell, that was one of those creative moments. So we were opening scene on Farewell where they, spoiler, they blow up the Barbie doll and hide behind the bed. So after that was over, is like, oh, wasn't that awesome? You know, Chloe is talking about how awesome that was. And Rihanna did the mocap performance for that. And she's like, I want to jump on the bed. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like I had not planned on that at all. Like it was just, okay, we're going to have them hop up and they're going to talk. And then, okay, they're going to settle into free roam and go on for the game. But Rihanna was like, I totally want to jump on the bed. Chloe would totally jump on the bed. And I'm like, you're totally right. Damn it. Hey, Corwin, can we strike a bed? I need someone to get me a bed here. Anyway, so we ended up put some Apple boxes and we shot it that way. But like that was one of those moments where it was like, yeah, that's the better version of the scene. I did not see that coming. But because my actors know their characters so well, I trust their instincts on those things. And that was the best thing to do. Animators, again, they hated me because then we had to like jump on a bed and we had to not show the actual bed deforming. Anyway, there's all sorts of behind the scenes stuff there. But overall, I think that was the right thing emotionally for that scene. So
cool. Okay. So you mentioned a little bit about it in the beginning of this interview, and also we can just see that you've got music just surrounding you in your background. So with music, and most people don't know this either, or some people do maybe, but majority I feel like don't. But you did the bass. You were the bassist in Pisshead, right? Yes, and Before the Storm, which is awesome. And so, what's your music interest look like now? You had mentioned that you still record your own songs and do things. Now, is that just like straight hobby for you? Do you do anything else with music?
No, it was, I had put down the bass for many, many years. I didn't even own one for many years. After I moved to Colorado, Chuck is our audio director for Before the Storm. And he's like, oh, we're going to write, an original song that's going to be Pisshead. It's going to go in. And I'm like, dude, can I play bass on it? He's like, oh, yeah, sure. That'd be cool. I'm like, can I borrow your bass? Because I didn't own one. So I borrowed Chuck's bass and, got my chops back up again a little bit. And then, before we recorded the song, I was like, all right, I got to buy myself a bass. I've been dying to do this. So the wrong side. I bought this six string bass before we recorded those songs. But yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just recording right now just for fun. I'm laying down all sorts of stuff. Usually it's bass oriented because that's my main instrument. So everything's got a cool bass groove. And then there's like melody and stuff, but like mostly bass and drums driven. I'm hoping on my stream that I'll be able to like feature some songs like on the opening screen or whatever, just to kind of like have a way of getting my music out there, even though it's not polished or I don't know, radio ready, but it's little clippets of fun stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, so if you guys replay Before the Storm or play it for the first time, make sure to go say hi to Skip right when you get to Blackwell after David drops you off, and you'll hear a nice little Pisshead song with featuring Webb as the bassist.
So actually what I'll do, announcing this now, is when we get to Skip and at Blackwell, I'm going to play along with you on my stream. So I'm going to play along and bought the bass. I'll have some good time. So that'll be fun. I mean, that kind of stuff we'll get to do because,
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. So this is from Clay again. Clay, you had great questions, by the way. Considering your past skills in software development, do you maintain or participate in any software projects today?
Good question. Yeah. Internal to Deck 9, I help out a little bit on the tool team development. We have an internal team that creates all of the software that we use to create our cinematics, our writing tool. We have a special program called Shoot Day, which helps us capture everything in mocap. We have true professional engineers that write that software, but there's the stuff in between that they may not have time for, but it's more like a quality of life thing. So I'm like, all right, I'll just write it. So it's kind of fun, pull out some Python or something and write a little tool that helps me do something and save me 15 minutes here and there. So that's a lot of fun.
Cool. Going back to the gaming side of things real quick, Baconator asks, what game from your childhood would you have worked on if you had the chance? And would you change anything about it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. All right, I'm probably really aging myself here, but I would probably go with Adventure on the Atari 2600.
Okay.
Like, that was, like, cool. I'm like, wait, I know I'm just, like, literally an arrow or a square. I think it was, like, moving around the screen. But, like, ooh, wait, I get to fight dragons? I got to find I got to find a sword, and then like that was like one of the first games that actually had like an Easter egg that you could unlock. You pick up the little dot and you put it in the corner, and you could see all the game developers' names. Like I thought that was just like so cool. It was anyway. So that would have been cool to do 2600 development, because that was like groundbreaking. The other one was Zork. It would have been fun to work on one of those, because those narrative adventure games were just like, they felt limitless. Like you could just type in like, well, look at the tree, shake the tree, pick up the rock, throw the rock at the tree. Like there's so many iterations. And in fact, back in those days, I had my best friend at the time. His name was Joe Kaufman, and he had a Macintosh. I didn't. And he had these really cool games on his Mac, and we're like, let's write a game. Yeah, it was cool. So we sat down and we started writing a game, and I was programming it, and he was like the story guy. He's like an artist, really good artist and ideas guy. So I was programming it, and he was coming with the ideas, and like we didn't even get past the first scene, and we ran out of memory, because I'd written so many options of like, okay, do you want to pick up the key? Do you want to look at the key? Do you want to lick the key? I don't know, like all the different options. And then we're like, oh, we're out of 120K memory. Okay, we're out. Okay, I guess we're done. So that didn't go very far. Yeah. But Joe ended up going on to start Maple Fire Games. If you guys are on mobile at all, check out Maple Fire Games. He has a game that's called The Secret of Grizzly Manor. That is he's done really well, and it's a lot of fun. You go around and try to go on a manor, and it's like a
cool.
Anyway, it's really cool.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. So let's round off the question segment of all of this interview with a nice little fun one from Galaxy Banshee. What's your dream vacation? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? All this work, popping out video games left and right. What do you want to do?
That's a really awesome question. I would. The obvious one is like, I love my family. I love doing stuff with. I've got kids and wife, and we just do all sorts of stuff together. Super fun. But I'm going to be selfish on this answer. I wish I could take off a month and bike from Maine to Florida. Just like every day, hop on the bike, go like 50, 75 miles, stop somewhere, either camp or get a hotel room, see whatever the city is that I'm in, and then the next morning wake up and bike another 50, 75 miles. It would just be so much fun.
And so for those of you who do not know, Webb is like an advent cyclist. Like he always he cycles all over the place. What's your longest stretch?
I think it was 120 miles. And so to put this in context though, so 2019, I weighed 250 pounds. I was a very large guy. Like I look at pictures of myself now, or back then, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so round. And so, a little bit, COVID has kind of come back a little bit. But so in 2019, I lost 75 pounds, and it was biking. I would just bike like a banshee, like every day. I bike to work. It was 10 miles to work and back, or 10 miles there, 10 miles back. So I'd bike, and then I got into running and all sorts of stuff. So I love biking. Wintertime really sucks in Colorado biking, but getting really nice out. So I can't wait to get back on the bike. But back to the question, which is, I'd love to like bike either across the state, the entire country, or at least down a coast or something like that. Something where it's like a vacation, but I don't know, you just sightsee along the way.
Yeah, no, I like that answer. That was good. Well, Webb, thank you so much for coming on the stream. I hope that everybody in the chat, I hope you guys have learned so much more about Webb and so much more insider information on Deck 9. And I hope you guys are even more excited. If you weren't here in the beginning, Webb is actually going to be starting to stream on Twitch with streaming Before the Storm, Life is Strange Before the Storm. And that's going to be next Wednesday, the 31st, I believe it's the 31st, at what time, 7 p.m.?
I'm still working that out.
You will, if you want to know, you guys can go follow him on Twitter. I'm sure he'll post his all of his information on Twitter, but also go check his channel out. Thank you so much for putting that in the chat, guys. Pluto Plants, my mod, is putting those all out there for you guys, so you can go follow his channel and be ready for when he goes live. But is there anything else that you would like to plug? Any projects you can talk about? Anything else you're going to be doing in the future, or any other social media platforms that they can follow you on?
Doing this the stream thing. I set up a Discord server. I got to figure out what that's going to be like. I look at your Discord server and I'm just like, oh my god, like there's so many people in there, and it's a little terrifying. So I'm scared to announce a Discord server because I don't know what's going to happen if people start showing up, and I don't know how to handle it. But anyway, so again, I'm going to, charge forward blindly and trip over myself and figure it out as I go.
Yeah.
But yeah, there'll be a Discord hooking up to this so I can kind of chat with you guys in between streams and and so yeah. And also, you may not have heard, I'm not sure, but there's this game coming out. It's called Life is Strange: True Colors, and that'll be really cool. So I'm gonna pitch that a little bit. That's fun.
Yeah, that'll be cool. It's coming out, guys, on September 10th. You guys can pre-order it. We have a command. If you do exclamation pre-order in the chat, you can go right to the Steam store. It is also on PlayStation and Xbox store. You guys can pre-order it on there as well. Thank you again, Webb. This was awesome.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Oh my gosh.